to a YouTube broadcast. I've also fully class and each actually going to show you, instead of going to one of the games, I'll explain how each one works. To begin with, Conquest, you start off with multiple flags that you have to capture to win the game. The team that gets all the flags will eventually win the match, if, however, the enemy team does not get those flags. If win the match, you'll still earn a lot of points, but your point, how should I explain this? The point counter, I should say, will be slowed down momentarily, just very, very minimal slowdown, but you'll eventually still win. There are vehicles, but some of the maps will not have many vehicles. More of the close range maps won't have any vehicles at all. The bigger maps, they'll have vehicles such as tanks and bikes and planes, even ships called dreadnoughts and armored trains. Now, Domination, it's similar to Conquest, but there's more vehicles and it's much bigger maps, so don't really need to explain that one. Frontlines is similar to Conquest as well. The way it works is you must capture each flag. There's about 6 flags or so, and you must capture each one to move up to the next objective. Usually it's about 3 flags you need to get first, and then the next ones are open after that. But what you must do is you have to push the enemy back to their base, and you have to cap the enemy themselves and take those flags until they get to the enemy's base. So it's kind of like a tug of war thing. One team has to get to the other base while the other has to get to the other base. Now, what the enemies can do is, while you're taking one objective, the enemies can flank around and take the objective behind you. That will eventually push you back, and you have to start back from where the previous objectives were. Now, that is where the difficulty comes into play. That's where you need to work with your team to push the enemy back to where they were and keep moving up. Usually, if it's a team effort, the game is a win. 100%. Rush, you have vehicles, but you also have to defuse bombs. There's usually 2 bombs. If one is destroyed, you can still defend the other bomb and win. The only issue is that once one bomb is destroyed, the entire team will be coming after your bomb, so you need to stay in an area where you can defend, or if it's a large map where there's sniper positions for your team, you can use them to protect the bomb and assist your team from defending it. Supply drop, I don't really know much. I'd assume that there's supplies that are dropped down they need to defend. I have not played it, so I have no experience. Team Deathmatch, it's 2 teams fighting to the death. You have to get a certain amount of points, and once you do, then that certain team wins. It's the simplest thing ever. Close range maps, no vehicles, any class can use. Most of them, such as Assault, will have anti-vehicle mines and other pieces of equipment that are anti-vehicle. They are best used for Conquest and Frontlines, but the anti-vehicle equipment is not useful on Team Deathmatch. Now, War Pigeons, you have to get the pigeons, you have to defend that area, so the pigeons will be released. Once that pigeon is released, a point or so will go to your team, and you do that until which team gets the victory. Now, before I was doing background gameplay of the mode Conquest, but I have now decided that I'm actually going to switch that, and I will do Team Deathmatch since it's easier, not because I don't want to play Conquest and make it seem like that's more difficult, but just because it's much easier to find a game, and it'll go by quicker, and it's more entertaining, I guess you could say, than watching a game of Conquest, which takes a very each class works, starting from Assault down to Scout, which is the very last class. So with the Assault, like I said, they're more towards anti-vehicles. They tend to work mainly on tanks, so I'll explain more about what I mean. Medic, that's self-explanatory. They assist your team when a teammate has died or is low in health. You can use medical crate, which will re-heal your teammate, or you can use a syringe, which will revive your teammate, and you can also use the medical crate, which can be useful once that teammate has been revived. You can re-heal them, and that will keep them going for a while. Now with the medic, they have more semi-automatic weapons than anything. They're not focused really on fully automatic. There's one that is semi-auto, but its fire rate is high enough to make it seem like it's a full auto weapon. With the support, which is the third class, that is used to support your team, so you can give your team extra ammo, and you can also use different types of mortars. One can be used to destroy tanks, and the other can be used against infantry. Now, what you're seeing here is the Assault class. I'm using a weapon called the Hellriegel, which it's a type of submachine gun. There's two different types. Each one is different in its own way. The one that I'm using is the defensive version, and it has more more recoil. So most of the Assault class's weapons pretty straightforward when it comes to using them, and if you know how to use the shotgun in certain areas, you can expect a good win with that. Now the shotguns, they're more on the close range side. They have extremely high damage. They have the highest damage of the entire Assault class, but their range can be questionable. Now what I mean about that is that if they're not used properly, you can actually miss your shots, and you'll risk having to take more than one shot just to get a kill. Now those, in my opinion, for Team Deathmatch are the best weapon of choice to use. Now with the medic, you have, like I said, the semi-autos. Each one is different to use, and usually there's a good mix that you can get where it'll help you, and it's the best way to use them. I can't remember the names of the guns 100%, but you will see them once I explain more about the medic class. Support, they are more about machine guns, so more damage, more ammo, and you can also take on enemies from extremely long ranges. There's different versions. There's ones that you can use for long range engagement, or ones that you can use for close range engagement. For example, the one I'm about to use is best for close range. Now moving on to the fourth and final class is the Scout. Now the way the Scout works is you have snipers only. You get any type of pistol that the other classes would have, but certain classes that you will use or upgrade, not upgrade, but rank up, you will be able to use those pistols that are unique to that class. So what I mean by that is, for example, there is my favorite revolver, the number 3 revolver. It is originally an assault pistol, but once unlocked with assault, you can use that in any class that it's available to. It's the same thing with most of the pistols, but each pistol has its own its own type of
The enemy is
pistol.
in the lead.
Now, I'm going to move on to the different types of equipment uses. So, with the assault, your main uses for assault is you get the anti-tank grenade, which is similar to a basic stick grenade. It looks like multiple stick grenades stuck to each other, but they're a special type of grenade. They're extremely large, and they will not guarantee you a kill unless a vehicle is high in damage, low on health. You can't always guarantee it. With those, they can be used against infantry. They have very high promises against infantry. You can usually guarantee a kill against an infantry soldier with the anti-tank. But that's about the only high damage grenade for assault that you can use against infantry. That was a bad shot. The next ones for the assault is anti-tank mines. Now, how they are used is you can only use them 3 times. Once they're put down, they tend to stay there even if you die. Sometimes they'll disappear, but then you can just redeploy them. Now, the way they work is it has been suggested by many people, and it has been suggested by me. The best way to use them in a game, such as Conquest, is if you put them all in a single file line and hope for the best when a tank comes around. That is not the way to work. That is not the way to use them. The best way to do it is to put your mines somewhere that a tank is not going to see them. So if you can distract the tank and get it to actually follow you, and then you put down your mines, your odds of getting the kill are extremely high. The next ones are the basic grenades, so like the handhelds. Your regulars are gonna have the frag grenade. Can't get that shot. You've got the hand grenades, and usually the hand grenades consist of a regular frag grenade, gas grenade, which has, I believe it's mustard gas, and you also have incendiary grenades. Now with those, they can be extremely effective. The incendiary, if you have an enemy that's in a house, for example, and you're trying to get them out of the house, incendiary grenade is a good way to get them out. They'll panic and they'll want to get out of the house as soon as they can and as fast as they can. With the gas grenade, there is a downside. Each teammate, each person on the teams has a gas mask. So if you have a gas grenade, they can use a gas mask. Only downside to the gas mask is that you cannot ADS, which is short for aim down sight. Once a gas mask is on, you're stuck to hip fire, and your accuracy, if you're not good with hip fire, will drop, and you will not get a kill and you will die. Now it's a good way to keep yourself alive. With the rest of them, there are grenades that are more heavy hitters, ones that are lighter and faster, such as the impact grenade. There's another type of frag grenade that has a shorter fuse, but does not throw as far, and has a limited blast radius. The last grenade is the anti-tank grenade. Now it can be used against infantry, but it's not always the best to use against them. The best way to use that is if you can use both the anti-tank grenade, the rocket gun, and then hopefully use the light anti-tank grenade. You can confirm yourself a kill, and you probably will survive, and you will get that kill on a tank or a vehicle, whatever it is you're going up against. Going up against an armored train, your odds of killing it with that stuff are extremely limited. You have a 0.1% chance of getting it killed. You need the entire team to take that thing out. It's a behemoth. With the medic, it has all the same grenades, minus the light anti-tank grenade, I believe. Now what they have is they have the syringe, which is used to revive your enemies if they've been killed, or not your enemies, revive your teammates if they've been killed, and they can also be used to actually kill your enemies if they're in front of you. If you get the chance, you can use that, and you will get the kill. It's the funnest thing you'll ever see, sir. It's so much fun. The other thing that you'll get is the medical crate, which when you revive your teammate, you can use the medical crate to actually heal up your friendlies once they've been killed. That is a great way to keep your team alive. You revive them and you heal them. It's the best way to use the medic parts. They also have a medical pouch, which you can deploy that more than once, because with the medical crate you can only deploy it once, and it only has a limited healing time. The medical crate, you can stay over it and it'll heal you to 100%. So that's mainly the piece of equipment. Not a lot of stuff there. Semi-automatic rifles usually. No fully automatic. The only fully automatics you'll have are semis that are extremely high fire rate, such as the M1907 Sweeper, which is my personal favorite. So it's support, which is perfect. This is actually a support weapon. The way the support works is you must use your defensive properties, defend your team from enemy action, and you can also resupply your team with ammunition or grenades. They also have mortars, which you can use to eliminate infantry, and also there are different versions for vehicles. So the air is for infantry, and the HE is for vehicles. Pretty much the way they work is if you're in a certain area and you deploy your mortar, depending on where it's been deployed, you only get a certain range to actually use it. If you're not in the proper range, you won't usually get that kill. But with the air mortar, you can usually get a one-hit kill, and you'll be promised with that kill, no problem. Rarely it'll take more than one mortar shell. Sometimes it takes two. Depends on the health of the enemy, and also depends on your blast radius from where you are. Now with the HE, they can be used just against the vehicles. They're not always a one-hit kill. You usually need multiple hits with the mortar shells from the HE just to eliminate a tank. You can usually actually disable them, so that gives your friendlies enough time to react and take them out if they need to. With their other piece of equipment, they have the ammunition crates, which you can use to have similar to the medics. They have an ammo pouch, which you can deploy that more than once, and once it's being deployed, you can usually resupply your friendlies with just enough ammo to keep them going. The ammunition crate, you can refill them, and they'll be fine. You can put that beside them and they will never run out of ammo usually. Now that's pretty much what they have. There's not much more to really explain about the support class. That's pretty much just what they're used for, is resupplying your friendlies and also supporting your enemies if they are suppressed. So if they are in a situation where they cannot leave and the enemies have them pinned down, you can use your support to actually take them all out and defend your friendlies from an enemy ambush. Now with their other things, it's mostly just the same grenades. Each class has different melee weapons. So they have pickaxes, shovels. They're usually close range, but each one has different aspects to it. So one can be used against tanks, one can be used against wood, one against barbed wire, all these different things. Usually the best ones are just at the very bottom of the list. They have the highest damage, and depending on the enemy's health, you can usually get them if you hit them once. Sometimes you must hit them multiple times just to get the animation to begin, but they are a one-hit kill nonetheless, and it is satisfying when they're used. So that's pretty much just how the support class works. With the last class and final class, Scout, they are focused on supporting your team from behind. They can take out multiple enemies from an extremely long range, and all their snipers are high damage, and usually it is a one-shot kill for the enemy to die, or to be taken out, sorry. They have tripwire bombs. So there are HEs, gas, and INC, which is short for incendiary. Now the incendiary tripwire bomb, once it's been set off, it explodes and releases a fiery abyss. It extends for only a limited distance, but it can give you extremely high results and extremely high damage to the enemy. The HEs, they are mainly used just for grenade purposes. So when they're set off, they will explode once enemy has tripped them, and they are extremely effective against the enemy. Now with the gas, it's exactly similar to the gas grenade in all the classes. The way it works is you must wait for the enemy to actually hit the wire for it to activate. But what it does is it creates a gas cloud, which does a good amount of damage against the enemies. It's more essential for the defensive purposes of the Scout. So when you're defending your team and there's an enemy coming towards you from behind, you can protect yourself with those different tripwire bombs. With everything else, it's pretty much the same as all the other classes. You have the different the different grenades, and the different melee weapons. Like I said, with the pistols, it's usually the same thing. They're never really different. And once one has been locked for assault example, usually the other classes will have those as well. With the Scout class as well, you will have different uses for distracting your enemy and believing that there is a Scout somewhere nearby. Now, the way those work is you can get a decoy, and when that is used, you can actually make your enemy believe that there's a Scout on a mountaintop, for example. When a sniper is used, you can see the glare or the glint from the snipers, and that's what you can use to pinpoint your enemy. No. So what the decoys do is when they're planted or set down, they do the exact same thing as a sniper scope would do. You can see the glint from their scopes, and you'll lock onto their position, and you can get the kill most of the time. So they're good for distracting your enemy and getting out of a sticky situation where there's an enemy locked in your position and you cannot get out of the way to defend your team. They also have a special sniper shield, which on the right side of the shield there is a viewport where you can look down with your sniper scope and protect yourself from incoming fire, and also hit the enemies at the same time. The best way to use it is when you're under fire, you can move over to the left side of the port and you will be protected from all of the enemy fire most of the time. With the other equipment, however, there is the K-bullets, which are anti-tank or armor-piercing rounds. They are used just to take out many different vehicles. They are mostly effective against tanks most of the time, but they're more effective against like vehicles such as motorbikes, armored cars, artillery trucks, which they can be a good target for scouts when they have the K-bullets. That is mainly just how the different classes work and what the other game modes are. So I am glad that you could be here with us and you got to listen to our video. The gameplay video did go from multiplayer to the first mission of the campaign.
They push.
It's just base 19 or base World War I, so everything's all different.
We push hard enough that
But yes, this was a very, to be honest, this was a difficult thing to record, but I'm glad that I got to work.
Is the world.
So yeah,
And the world is the war.
I will let Alex, Jason, or I take this over just to end this, and then we'll get back to our desks and do what we do best, which is nothing much, but just work.
And the criminal.
Alright, sir, have a good day.
For legend.